This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated's blog, Zalma on Insurance. Today we're going to talk about a case in Texas brought by the eponymously named Dick Law Firm and its client, who were sanctioned by the Texas court and summary judgment granted against the plaintiff's bad faith claim, and the insurer was granted an award of all its attorney's fees. This case of contumacious conduct to a Texas court caused the insured plaintiff and her lawyer to have a judgment in favor of the insurer, and both the lawyer and the insured plaintiff having to pay a judgment of more than $137,000 in attorney's fees and costs. In Carmen Aleman, Eric B. Dick and the Dick Law Firm versus Standard Casualty Company, the Court of Appeals in Texas on August 26, 2025, affirmed the trial court. The case dealt with the suit brought by Carmen Aleman along with her attorneys, who filed a lawsuit against Standard Casualty Company for breach of contract, breach of the duty of good faith and fair dealing, fraud and violation of the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act, the DPTA, and the Texas Insurance Code. According to Aleman, at some point, someone stopped by to look at the property and there was some damage, but she did not remember who that someone was or what kind of damage he saw. Aleman herself had not seen damage to the property and did not know the cause of any damage. In the litigation, Aleman claimed that her property was damaged by a wind and hailstorm on October 23, 2020, and sought damages and attorney's fees. Standard denied the allegations, asserting that Aleman had not presented a covered loss within the policy period and had already been paid for a separate wind damage claim. Standard moved for summary judgment, arguing that Aleman could not establish that she suffered hail damage covered by her policy and that there was no evidence to support her claims. An inspection of Aleman's property on February 11, 2021 revealed no evidence of hail or wind damage to the roof or exterior. The damage found was deemed pre-existing and not caused by a named peril under Aleman's policy. Standard notified Aleman on February 24, 2021 that her claim was not covered. Aleman's designated experts, including Richard Gadro, Billy Gray, Matthew Morgan, and Sharon Guerrero, provided testimonies that were inconsistent and lacked evidence to support Aleman's claim. Gray testified that he owned a commercial insurance brokerage and he had been contacted about Aleman's case in January of 2023 by her attorney, Mr. Dick. He had never spoken to Aleman and he had not inspected the property. He was not told that he had been designated as an expert by Aleman, and he had not been told whether he was going to testify in the case. The trial court granted Standard's motion for summary judgment, finding that Aleman failed to present admissible evidence to support her claims, and also awarded Standard $137,000 in attorney's fees and sanctions against both Aleman and her attorney. Aleman, Dick of the Dick Law Firm appealed the trial court's decision, arguing that the court erred in granting summary judgment, sanctioning them, and awarding attorney's fees. Standard moved to recover attorney's fees under the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure, the Texas Insurance Code, the Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code, and the DPTA, asserting that Aleman had filed a frivolous lawsuit which was sanctionable conduct. Aleman testified in her own deposition she had no knowledge of the cause or damage to her property. The trial court granted Standard's request for attorney's fees pursuant to the Texas Insurance Code. Following the admission of evidence at trial, the jury found that Standard was entitled to recover $137,000 for representation in the trial court, $16,250 for representation in the Court of Appeals, $10,000 for representation at the petition for review stage in the Texas Supreme Court, $10,000 for representation at the briefing on the merit stage in the Texas Supreme Court, and $12,000 for representation at the oral argument stage and through the completion of the proceedings of the Texas Supreme Court. Due to Aleman and her counsel's failure to support by any claim pled in the lawsuit, the failure to identify any effort to investigate a basis of law or fact to support the pleadings, the court found that there was no evidentiary support for any claim pled by Aleman. The lawsuit was brought for an improper purpose, including to cause unnecessary delay and needless increase in the cost of litigation. In addition, the court found the expert designations filed by Aleman and her attorneys to get the Dick law firm were misleading and contained false information about designated witnesses. Finally, Standard uncontroverted summary judgment evidence established as a matter of law that Aleman could not show that the damage to the property was covered by her policy or that the damage was incurred at a time covered by the policy. As such, Aleman was unable to maintain a breach of contract claim against Standard, and the Court of Appeal held the trial court did not err in granting Standard summary judgment on Aleman's breach of contract claim. The amount of fees was reversed and remanded so that the trial court could get a more appropriate fee order. In my opinion, it's difficult for me to understand why a licensed attorney would designate multiple expert witnesses to testify at trial without first getting the agreement of the expert and explaining the need to testify at trial. I testify as an expert in my long career. I was only designated once by an attorney who did not tell me he had designated me until I was subpoenaed to be deposed. He was greatly sanctioned for doing so, and I was compelled to report him to the state bar. In this case, multiple experts who had insufficient or no information about which they could testify was contumacious and a complete breach of the oath taken by all lawyers, resulting in causing his client to be liable for more than $137,000 in the insurer's attorney's fees and a summary judgment in favor of the lawyer. This video was adapted from my blog, Zelma on Insurance, which is available free to anyone who clicks on the URL zelma.com/blog. You can subscribe, and if you do, you'll receive notice of every blog posting, usually 5, sometimes 6 a week, and you'll gain access to the more than 5,150 blog postings. You can also subscribe to my Substack publications for a very small fee to gain additional information about insurance claims,